Kashmir is a story of deceit and betrayal. People of Kashmir were betrayed when India and Pakistan was divided. According to the foundation laid for the basis of division of Kashmir, Kashmir with a Muslim majority should have been a part of Pakistan. But Lord Radcliffe changed the maps, and it was basically his friendship of Lord Mountbatten with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru that the maps were concealed from the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Gurdaspur, an important district which should have gone to Pakistan, was given to India so that India gains access to Kashmir. Dr. Faiz said about Gopala Rangalumaswamy, the ambassador Indian ambassador to United Nations, who basically took the case of Kashmir to United Nations and said that the fate of Kashmir will be decided by people of Kashmir. It was not only that, it was no less a person than Jawaharlal Nehru, who promised in the heart of Srinagar, the capital of Kashmir, to the people of Kashmir that the fate of Kashmir will be decided by Kashmiris themselves, whether they want to become part of India or whether they want to be part of Pakistan or they want to stay independent. Kashmir trusted the words of Indian leaders. They said that Kashmir will gain the right of self-determination at some point. There are a lot of parlays which took place between Indian and Pakistani government, especially in 50s and 60s. It could be in hundreds, especially there were interaction between then Pakistani Foreign Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Soren Singh. But nothing came out of those parlays. Why didn't anything come out of those discussions is that India was never honest to have an amicable solution which is acceptable to people of Kashmir. They had always eyes on Kashmir. They wanted it to integrate with the rest of the India. At one time, Kashmir had its own prime minister. They had their own Sadr Riyasat, which is called the president of the state. They had their own customs. Anybody who comes from India to Kashmir had to get a custom clearance at the airport and a temporary visa. But those laws were abolished by and without world knowing about them. They changed the nomenclature of the rulers of the Kashmir. And what was left was 370 and 35A. When people of Kashmir, the youth especially, was frustrated at the discriminatory attitude of the Indian government towards the people of Kashmir, there was a very struggle launched in 1989. But it was a youth movement. But what India did was unleashed a reign of terror on people of Kashmir. Until now, 150,000, especially the youth between 15 to 30 years of age, have been killed. 10,000 women have been raped. There are missing people. There are mass graves. Burhan Wani in 2016 was captured and martyred. People who came to demonstrate in his favor, protest against his cold-blooded murder, were sprayed with spray bloods, which we use in this country for deer hunting. Hundreds of youth lost their eyesight. Hospitals were attacked. Patients were beaten, doctors were beaten, and medical staff was not allowed to function. India has committed international crimes, and they have to be answerable. These are the crimes for which leaders have been punished. I fail to understand why Pakistan has not taken this case to International Court of Justice. Now, how did we come to this impasse? And why we are here where we are right now? Last year, on August 5th, exactly 1 year from now, India abrogated 35A and 370 of Article Indian Constitution, which gives Kashmiris a right that non-Kashmir, which basically it meant that non-Kashmiris cannot buy immovable property in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and they cannot compete for the local jobs. And they reduced the status of Jammu and Kashmir to union territory and divided it into two, with Jammu Jammu and Kashmir as a one union territory and Ladakh as another union territory. Since at that time, thousands of youth as young as 10 years of age were basically lifted and put into the various jails of India and in subhuman conditions. All the leadership of Jammu and Kashmir is in prison. Ali Shah Gilani, Yasin Malik, Mir Waiz Maulana Farooq, Shabir Shah, Asya Andrabi, and so on and so forth, and many more. It is said at least 15,000 people were jailed in this operation of August 5th, 2019. So, Indian government has pushed Kashmiris to the wall. The questions which Kashmiris are asking to the world body is after the murder of 150,000 people, after so many young women, young and old women losing their honor, why is world silent? There are demonstrations in Pakistan or certain world capital, but they go in troughs and in peaks and troughs. We need to have a constant policy for Kashmir. Pakistan has to reinvigorate its efforts to basically to fight this battle for Kashmiris. Pakistan, as has been alluded by my earlier speakers, there is no national policy on Kashmir. If you look at the way the Indian elections are fought, anti-Pakistani rhetoric is dominant in the election manifesto of most of the political parties. As Modi won 2 elections based on not his achievements, but his anti-Pakistani rhetoric. While in Pakistan, political parties don't talk about Kashmir problem, how they will approach this Kashmir problem based on the in their election manifesto. There has to be short-term strategy and long-term strategy for resolving this issue. These webinars are great. These seminars are great. These roundtable discussions are fine. But unless and until they allow us to evolve a strategy by which we will approach this Kashmir problem, they cannot be termed as successful. We need to know that after this 1 week, for 12th August, when we have had so many hundreds of webinars, what is our policy now? What is the plan of action? If we have not done that, we have failed to do justice to the cause of Kashmir. I was very delighted to hear President Erdogan's statement, his call to the President Alvi and Prime Minister Imran Khan, that he will join hands with Pakistan in launching a struggle for liberation of Kashmir. This is an opportunity which Pakistan should jump on. There should be a joint front between Pakistan and Turkey, and they should approach Organization of Islamic Countries, not to just issue statements, but take certain actions against India. 65% of the foreign exchange to India comes from Organization of Islamic Countries because of their contracts, because of the people working there, like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, so on and so forth. If there is some sort of, not an economic blockade, but there is some sort of convey them that this thing will be stopped, that this will have unless the Kashmir problem is solved, this will have an effect on the relation between these two countries. That will force India to come to the negotiating table. India has hoodwinked the world. They have corrupted some local politicians like Mahbooba Mufti or Umar Farooq in accepting the status quo, and then they will tell the world that they have solved the Kashmir problem. And at the same time, as was mentioned by Dr. Ghulam Nabi Fai, they are basically changing they are giving citizenship of Kashmir to non-Hindus to change the demographic character of Kashmir, so that tomorrow, if they have to held plebiscite, the decision will go in their favor. Pakistan has been said by previous speakers, national policy on Kashmir. The Kashmir Committee has to be active. In addition to Organization of Islamic Countries, they have to approach these Western countries like Australia, like France, who are selling billions of dollars of arms to India. We have to motivate their public. Every Pakistani embassy should have a Kashmiri cell, and their job should be to basically educate about the atrocities which are being committed by Indian forces on the people of Kashmir.